edition.
Let's go! Super Bowl week, Radio Row.
Super Bowl edition. We are here. We made it. DNVR Buffs Primetime. We're presented by Factor Meal Kits. Head on over to factormeals.com/DNVRBuffs50. Use that promo code DNVRBuffs50 and you get 50% off of your order at Factor. We made it.
We made it, man. It's, everyone out here, it's Monday. It's kind of a slow time at Radio Row. Not for Buffs.
Never.
It's never a slow time for the Buffs.
No.
And as our first guest said to me, it's kind of just like a reunion, Buffs reunion every time we come out here to the Super Bowl.
Yep. And more to come throughout the week. We'll see who shows up. I think we're going to have some exciting guests on.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And we're starting off exciting.
We are. We're starting off very exciting. Are we going to?
Yeah, let's bring on Pritch. First guest, Colorado legend.
Former Colorado wide receiver Mike Pritchard.
Mike Pritchard, and also former teammate of one Deion Sanders.
Right. Current legend.
Yes.
Yeah.
Again, right? Great to be with you guys. How you doing?
Doing well, man.
Right
How are
on.
you doing?
I'm doing great. Hosting the Super Bowl. My city, right? And we're hosting a Super Bowl, so I couldn't be happy right now.
That's amazing,
Yeah.
man. Let's get right into it. It's been a year since I talked to you. Last time, it was all speculation as it came to what the Coach Prime Buffs were going to look like. Now that you've seen it and seen what he brings, what's your kind of reaction 1 year in?
I love it. I wish I could put the headgear back on, to be honest with you. No, it is. I am so happy for everybody. Rick George, I'm happy for the student body that gets to see the excitement that I lived for a while. And, what he's doing right now is unprecedented. It really is. I don't know how to quantify it, but all I know is this. Our program was not relevant for decades. And all of a sudden we're at the tip of the tongue for everybody in terms of college football. And then that carries over to basketball, women's and men's, right? And that carries over through all sports. And so the spotlight, the shine is on CU and in Boulder, and I couldn't be happier. I mean, he's done a tremendous, tremendous job. And to be honest with you, probably the only person in this world that could have done what he's done already.
How would you describe last season? Obviously starting very hot, then kind of just went on that losing skid. Shedeur got hurt at the end. Travis was a little banged up too. Just how do you look back on 2023?
I think it was successful. Considering where we were as a program, you have to look at it as being a successful year. A surprising year to a lot of people, and Coach Prime let them know, rightly so. But not surprising to the people that put in a hard work. I mean, you guys have been there. You guys are crushing it too, by the way. Thank you for the content.
Oh, thank you.
Because it's incredible. Because I'm out here in Vegas, and so I get to live it through you guys, and it's been awesome. And I love the fact that you pointed that out. People don't understand, the narrative or the stories that are created about the mass exodus, but you don't understand what's coming in here, right? You guys were in the forefront of all that and was spot on with it. So I think it's continuing, too. So I'm excited for the future because I know the hard work is probably over, meaning the culture, establishing that, the standard, creating that, and then all of a sudden the support's there. It's there in spades. And so now the easy part starts and begins, and that's coaching these 4- and 5-star athletes and getting them all on the same page and getting them to play at a high level.
What do you think is the next steps? I think you're right. They had to, Coach Prime comes in, he has to redo the entire roster. He has to uproot all of this. They've got to, try and microwave a culture and all that stuff into one. And we saw a lot of it work. Some of it didn't. And now, like you said, you're kind of on past the rebuild part, and now you just get to build.
Right.
What does that entail?
Well, I mean, there's parallels to my time at CU. I mean, you get the athletes you get, and then you run a system you have to run. Like, we ran a wishbone my freshman year. What the hell are we doing in the wishbone, right? But that's what everybody was kind of doing, and you kind of, the wishbone, you got these option quarterbacks. But then you recruit, Eric Bieniemy, you recruit George Hemingway, you recruit, me and some others, and J.J. Flanagan. We don't need to be in the wishbone. We need to be in the eye, and then we need to take advantage of the perimeter game, too, with some other aspects that we had offensively. We had one of the better offensive lines. So Coach Mack and everybody made sure that was intact and stable. And then take your pick. I mean, Sal Nessie, Darian Hagan, Charles Johnson. I mean, you go on and on with all these quarterbacks that we had too. And then defensively, just stack it, right? So I think that's what Coach Prime's doing. He's stacking it, and he's going to let these guys duke it out in practice, which that's the way it should be.
Yep.
And, okay, let's see who wants to start. Let's see who wants to be prominent. Let's see who wants to be a difference maker. And if you love that type of competition, then CU certainly is the right place for you. And that's what I think he's bringing in, those type of players.
Yeah.
So that's what you're going to see.
Yeah.
You're going to see some battles. I mean, look at the wide receiver room.
Stacked.
Those guys are going to be fighting for playing time.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I mean, every time we talk about it on this show, someone's saying, you guys are sleeping on this guy. It's like, we're not. There's just so many options. Like, one day we're going to talk about Will Shepard.
Yep.
Another day we're going to talk about Jimmy Horn. Another day we're going to talk about LeJontay Wester. Like, it just goes on and on and on.
Yeah, I mean, you guys introduced me as a legend, but it's funny because it's like in a running back room, at one time we had Eric Bieniemy, George Hemingway, and myself, J.J. Flanagan, and O.C. Oliver, right? And like, okay, who's going to get the rock?
Yeah.
But we had to fight it out. But what the coaches did is, you guys are all too good. We're all going to put you all on the field. So they created a wing back for me. Obviously, George moved to fullback, and then J.J. and Eric shared the tailback responsibilities. And at wide receiver, we had Jeff Campbell, who was just in town, by the way. And it was great to catch up with him. But he showed the way in terms of how explosive we needed to be on the perimeter. And then, therefore, that's how I moved to the outside to play wide receiver.
With that, since we're just talking scheme, I mean, they went through like the offensive coordinator change last year and all that. They were trying to go really spread. You know, you think of TCU was a lot of empty, a lot of 5 wide. I guess, what do you see coming from Pat Shurmur this next season in that offense?
Well, I mean, he's a West Coast kind of guy. I mean, I think maybe a more conventional pro-style offense. Which you can feature spread elements to it. We're going to see that in the Super Bowl, right? Yeah. But, you know, Shedeur, he diagnosed plays so well, and he's got such a strong arm. He's so confident. You want to keep him in the pocket. I think he wants to be there too. So a West Coast style offense, which can be athletic at times, but then also you got to win from the pocket. These two teams run it. This team's in the Super Bowl. They run that style. But you can still incorporate the spread. But I think everybody in college is doing the spread.
Yep.
Like, go back to the wishbone. When everybody's running a wishbone, you got to be different, right?
Yeah.
So if everybody's running the spread, and all of a sudden now you come in with something different with these type of players, that's going to be hard to defend.
Absolutely. I'm always interested in talking to guys who played about this. And it's not one for one, but you did play 2 different positions. It just wasn't on both sides of the ball.
Right.
Travis Hunter, playing at wide receiver, playing at corner. First of all, where do you stand on, is this sustainable? Should he keep doing it? And where do you stand on which one he's better at?
Well, I saw it for 3 years with Coach Prime, though, right, in Atlanta. So he was always lobbying to play on the offense side of the ball, right? And he was effective for us. I mean, you know, Jason Phillips, who's now the offensive wide receivers coach, Jay Phil, he was on that roster too. And he's going to add so much to that offense. And just that dog mentality, right? And I think Travis has that. What Coach Prime's going to help, and he has already, is help Travis manage it. Because that's all you're talking about. He's in shape. He's going to be in shape.
Yeah.
He loves playing both sides, so you're not going to take that away from him. He's flourished at it. It's just managing it now, right? Yeah. And so not everybody knows how to manage it. That's the beauty of Coach Prime. He knows how to manage it from a high-profile standpoint, and that's where Travis is right now. So I almost ran through the TV when that CSU guy hit him. I almost did.
Oh, man.
But, you know, hopefully things like that won't happen, and we'll see the true Travis play the entire year the way that he projected himself to play. I mean, TCU, from that starting, that's his launching pad, what he did right there, and that was phenomenal. But to carry it throughout the entire season without injury, I'm looking forward to seeing that.
You played wide receiver. Xavier Weaver was an amazing wide receiver for Colorado this last year. But he's not really getting like NFL draft buzz. I guess, why do you think that is, and how do you think he projects to the next level? Well,
I mean, the combine is everything, right?
True.
I mean, I think when I was playing, and, you know, the offense that we ran, obviously, you know, we're running the ball, and Eric's a Heisman Trophy finalist, Eric Bieniemy. And so we're known for a running team. So it wasn't until I got to the combine in which I kind of distinguished myself. So I think Weaver can do that. His skill set is off the charts. The combine and his pro day and all that stuff is going to be everything. Whether, he's a higher draft choice or wherever he goes. I mean, he can play in the league. We all know that.
Definitely.
It's just the opportunity, and certainly I think he's got control over that. And that's the most important thing that he needs to know right now is you're not getting a spotlight like these others, but that's okay. You create your own spotlight. And I think the combine and pro day, he's got plenty of time to do that.
I think we talked about this last year, but for new listeners of our show, what was it like just being a teammate of Deion Sanders?
I mean, first of all, you're an all-the-man because I'd never seen anybody run like that before. But I think his persona supersedes everything, right? I mean, he'll take over a room. Like, he'll walk into this whole auditorium. Or where are we at? Like a convention center.
Yeah.
And
you could hear it. We wouldn't even have to see it. We would be able to hear it.
Oh, yeah, there would be a buzz, but then everybody's attention would just go over there.
Yeah.
And without him saying that thing.
Yeah.
And that was true way back then. But his work ethic on the field was, I've never seen that before. I've never heard of that before. I mean, I've never witnessed anything like that before. You certainly couldn't match it. But it made him the player that he became, obviously the best ever. But I think his example, too, was contagious, right? Because you wanted to get to his level. You certainly wanted to pick his brain if you could. And we did as players, but you couldn't duplicate it. And you always tried to do it. You always tried to see if you could. But now the guy was a hard worker and very, very, very competitive, wanted to win, and obviously did that in his career.
Also, tell us about Jason Phillips.
Oh, man,
I think, that's a new kind of name, new face around here.
So run and shoot guy. But the thing about Jason Phillips, his knowledge for the game in that position is off the charts, I believe. But he got after Deion in practice. So we have the scout team look, right, and Deion took every rep. J. Phil wanted to take every rep with the team, the show team.
Yeah.
Like, say we're playing San Francisco, J. Phil wanted to be Jerry Rice and all this. But he would get after Deion. Like, he would talk mess with him. He would get in his face. He would get physical. He would run routes. He would just be tenacious. I mean, he would just get after Deion and push him. And I think that's where that relationship started from, to where, he worked with him at Jackson, obviously, and now he's a wide receivers coach. But Deion wants dogs, and J. Phil is a dog. And I think that wide receiver room is going to turn into what Deion wants it to.
The whole time you were saying that, I was just, now I get it.
Yeah, now it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, you've heard about it a
well,
little bit?
I just mean the fact that as you're telling that story about Jason Phillips, I'm understanding this is where this level of respect that Coach Prime now has for him. It's like that's the type of player that he's trying to find. That's the type of, whether it's a walk-on or a five-star player, like he wants those types of guys who are doing that in practice.
Yeah, you got to remember, I mean, J. Phil at Houston, I mean, that guy was setting records, man. And it was a run-and-shoot offense and stuff. And so you get to the league and you get a couple stops and, numbers games or whatever happens. But what are you going to do with the opportunity? And I think he knew that his opportunity certainly was getting Deion ready for who he had to, Michael Irvin or Jerry Rice or Chris Carter or whoever, like from a mentality standpoint. I mean, Deion was going to figure out the game. He knew how he was going to play those guys. But his mind, boy, getting him sharp, and getting him ready for that type of competition, J. Phil did that each and every week.
Buffs back in the Big 12. I know it's a little different now, but just curious about your thoughts on the new look Big 12 and where we're headed, really.
New look NCAA, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
pretty much.
Pretty much. No, I like it. This is our conference, right? The Big 8, you go back those days, which I was a part of, to the Big 12. Big 12 championship, the Pac-12, it just seemed like we were out of place. And I know we wanted to recruit Cali, but we were doing that already, though, right? I mean, Deion's going to recruit everywhere. Coach Prime and his staff, they're going to recruit everywhere now anyway. So I love getting back to the roots, and I love getting back to what the Big 12 is now. And I think, more importantly, CU understands the Big 12 academically, from an institution standpoint, and then certainly on the field. So I love it. basketball, think about the conference now. I mean, conference champions before, but the teams that are in the Big 12 from a basketball standpoint, my goodness. But no, I'm looking forward to the challenge for the Buffs football-wise as well.
Awesome, man. Well, I think we got to let you go, but before you do, where can people find you?
Well, Mike Pritchard, I'm still on there on X now. But I'm working with DraftKings and VSiN. So you can find our work there in Vegas. I'm going to be out for spring ball hopefully this year. So I'm gonna be all around. I mean, I gotta support just like I've seen the support kind of just come in droves now around the program. So I can't wait.
All right. Well, when you're in town, hit us up and we'll have you down at the bar.
Oh, man, I can't wait for that. That's going to be awesome.
Yes, sir.
All right. There he is, Mike Pritchard. Thanks, brother.
Thank you. Good to see you guys.
Appreciate you,
man.
man.
Enjoy the week. Yep.
All righty, guys. Shout out to our wonderful friends over at Game Time.
Oh, yeah.
Ticket prices for this game are probably out the door expensive, but if you want to go to the game last minute, check out Game Time. Use the promo code BUFFS, BUFFS.
You're not going to get a good price anywhere.
No.
But if you got to go,
yes,
you got to go to Game Time.
What are we at right here?
$7,000.
Holy shit.
Hey, but I was telling Todd on the Broncos show, like, I'm trying to hit a jackpot. And then
So
he's
you
taking
can
me to
buy
the
a
jewelry
ticket.
store, and maybe I'll use the leftovers to buy a Super Bowl ticket.
We could only be so lucky. We've got Buffs basketball, tons of stuff going on. Hit up Game Time. Sign up with the promo code BUFFS, BUFFS, and you will get $20 off your first order.
That was a great way to start off, man.
Yeah.
That was a great
awesome.
way to start the week. And I'm just peeking over at the comment section there. It looks like everyone was pretty hyped about that.
Yep.
I mean, how do you start? Like, we start off with a guy who played with Coach Prime, played with Jason Phillips, played for CU, played in the NFL. That's a good way to do it.
We nailed all the bases there.
And also got to give a shout out to our friends over at Factor. The absolute best way to diet, in my opinion, is to be with Factor. Because I think the hardest part of a diet is what happens when you get hungry. Are you going to be able to have that self-control when you're starving to avoid the cravings? Well, you don't have to do that if you have Factor, because you always have a box ready to go in your fridge. They'll deliver them weekly or bi-weekly to your house, however many you're looking for. You could do 4, 6, 8, and just have those meals on deck so that when you start getting hungry, you're ready to go with a good, nutritious meal. Absolutely love Factor. And what's the code?
It is,
You gotta give me the codes, bro.
It's DNVR Buffs 50. DNVR Buffs 50.
DNVR Buffs 50 for 50% off your first order over at Factor. Shout out to Factor, a big reason why we are out here right now. So, we love when you show appreciation to the people who appreciate us enough to help us go on trips like this.
And it's just delicious. Hit them up. All right. When's our next guest?
Not for a minute.
All right. Let's kind of cover some stuff from over the weekend. Still no DC news, by the way. So
yeah, I mean, we kind of have heard a little more rumblings, but
we'll see.
We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
All right. A few things to get to. We'll start with this one. It'll be quick. Caleb Mathis' younger brother, Cole Mathis, committed to Colorado. He's a 2024 cornerback at a Fairview High School.
Wow, I know a guy who went there.
Yeah, me too.
I know a guy who went there. Sam Pagano. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, man, family business, right?
It is.
It's family business. I love this. I can't get enough of it. Family is football. Football is family.
Yep.
And when you actually put that not only just in a figurative sense, but a literal sense onto a football team, I think it matters. Mm-hmm. You can't look this up because I tried. But like, when can you imagine a team having this many, 4 sets of brothers?
We got the Wade twins. We got, of course, Shilo, Shedeur.
The Mathises.
The Mathises. Who are we missing?
And then,
we had cousins in Amontre Bradford and Cam Michael for a little bit.
Yeah, I think there's one more, and I apologize that we're missing it. But either way, it's just unbelievable, I think. And you have, obviously, their fathers are around in multiple cases. I do think it matters, and I think that, you're getting a bit of a boost to building the culture. You saw it with
Definitely.
Caleb last year. Like, a guy who not necessarily lauded for his size or his strength or his speed or whatever, but
Westers.
Oh, thank you. You get a guy who does everything right.
Yep.
And that's what Coach Prime said when he was asked, hey, how come Caleb's getting out there all of a sudden? It was like, well, he runs his routes to the right depth and he catches the ball. And it's like, when you have these guys who have grown up around it their whole lives, they just get it at a different level.
Yep.
They understand that it's not just like, how fast can you run? It's can you run to the right spot at the right time, turn around and make the play. And whether that's wide receiver or, whatever it is, obviously I'm talking about the ones who are related to the coaches right now and guys who played in the NFL. But then I just think there's something to the brotherhood of football actually being in brothers.
Sure. I mean, we saw, not to throw him under the bus here, but, Cormani McLean had like an adjustment period when he came in last year. But these guys, I mean, Caleb came in and he was ready to go right away.
Yes.
Like working with Shedeur in the spring. I'd expect the same for Colden, too. I mean, he's playing literally the position his dad is going to coach.
Yep. And that doesn't even count Bucky, who's around.
Right.
Coach Mathis's daughter is around the program. Like, it's a 100% family atmosphere from top to bottom, as I said, in a literal and figurative sense.
Yep. Dylan Edwards ran in his first track meet over the weekend.
Yeah, man. Good for him. It's like I said when we were talking to Neely about it, like, a football coach's job is a lot, right? A track coach's job is to make you faster.
Yep.
I mean, obviously there's technique and whatever events you're in are different, but like that's all they're focusing on is how do we make you faster?
Yes.
And that's a scary thought when you're talking about Dylan Edwards, who is in every single conversation about the fastest player on the team.
Well, look, he bulked up a bit. It only makes sense. He's got to kind of get the speed back up, too, to match that.
I'll be interested to see if he can keep that weight on while running track, you know? And I think it's a good test because a lot of times these guys go out there and they say, oh, I want to put on 10 pounds in the offseason, and that's great, right? And they go and they lift and they're into it heavy. But all of a sudden you get out there in fall camp and you're sweating, for just 2 straight hours and you're running around and the weight just starts to fall off certain guys because that's just how they're built. So I think this is a good test for him. Hey, am I able to keep this bulk on while doing so much cardio?
Right. So stay tuned to that. I'm sure we'll get updates as we move through. We have another topic to hit. Pretty lengthy, though. The Big Ten and the SEC meeting for some advisory board or something. The writing's on the wall.
Yes.
They're trying to find a way how to, I guess fix college football, but they're doing it themselves.
Yeah, I don't know if they're trying to fix college football.
Well, they're trying to take a hold of it, really.
They're trying
take control.
Exactly. They're trying to fill their pockets.
Yes.
Is what they're trying to do. And it's so predictable, but it is funny to kind of watch it play out in a undercover way. They have to do it a certain way, but they're putting together a group that's going to determine the future of college football. That's what I strongly feel about this.
So, there's a ton of stuff going on with this. There's a holdup from the Pac-2, Washington State, because the way the CFP is constructed right now, it's got to be unanimous decisions.
Yep.
So they're working through that stuff. I don't want to go super deep right now, but where are we headed?
Keep cooking. Hold on.
In terms of college football and how it's all going to shake out structure-wise is basically what we need to figure out, or what they're going to try and figure out moving forward. The CFP, as it's currently constructed, I think has control of the actual playoff through 2025, but they're not signed after that, and that's really what they're trying to nail down is what is going to happen after 2 seasons from now when I guess really things can open up. And who knows, maybe do they separate by then? Because it already seems like the NCAA is in hot water. You got this Tennessee lawsuit going on. We're just headed for a split, inevitably, right?
A split of the NCAA and these conferences.
College football.
Yeah. College football has outgrown the NCAA, and the NCAA doesn't even know what the hell they're doing with it. They can't police anything. They aren't able to keep up from an NIL perspective, and they're not able to regulate it and all this stuff. Like, we're going to reach a point where college football becomes its own entity, and like I said, it's going to be, run by these 2 conferences. They're going to create a super conference, and you're going to have to hope that you are on the menu when they are, gulping up the last group. or else it's just over for you.
Yeah.
And, it's why before Coach Prime was hired, I said this is the most important hire in the history of Colorado football, because this is about to all break down. It's about to all break down. And if you're not ready and you're not, looking like a good addition for a conference, you're going to be out.
Yep. All right, our next guest is joining the show right now, Mr. Brian Baldinger.
That's me.
What's up, Baldy?
The one and only, man.
How you doing,
What's
sir?
going on, fellas?
What is going on, man? We wanted to bring you on because, as they say, you know ball.
I mean, I don't know it all, but I'm still learning. But I've got a pretty good. I have a pretty good depth of knowledge of the game.
And while you haven't fully dove into, Shedeur and Travis, the two stars of Colorado football, you did get to see them a bit.
Sure.
And we wanted to get your opinion on these guys' potential NFL future and what you see from them.
Well, I mean, if you look at Travis, I mean, he's the number one player in the country. Like these guys, my friends run the Polynesian Bowl out there in Hawaii. And, you look at some of these kids, Penei Sewell played in the game, right?
Yep.
So, you track these kids from high school. They're not just giving them these rankings and these ratings for no reason because they can run fast. I mean, this stuff is pretty sophisticated. And so when Travis came out, is he a defender? Is he a offensive player? Like, I don't think you could really play both at the NFL. But, you got to figure out which position is going to be best for him. And then, obviously the injury is the injury. You got to come back from that this past season. But, he's a talented player that they just need reps. They need games. But I think his game and his ability is going to transfer to the NFL. And Shedeur, I haven't broken him down the way I'm breaking down Jaden Daniels right now, or Drake May, or Caleb. But Shedeur has had some huge games and comeback wins, and some of the things. And then there's some throws out of the 40 throws he makes in a game. In any game, there's probably 5 or 6 that are real NFL throws. Like they're tight windows, there's a cloudy pocket. How do you maneuver the pocket the way we watch Brock Purdy maneuver a pocket right now? Those are the things that we're looking at that can transfer to the NFL level.
Let's go back to Travis a little bit because I think that wide receiver versus cornerback thing is so interesting. I'm curious to see if an NFL team is going to let him play a little bit. Obviously, he's playing for a guy who did do it on both sides, not full time, but they allowed Coach Prime and Deion when he was back in the game to play on that side. If not, is what he does at corner more rare than what he does at wide receiver, and so it's more worth it for him to focus there?
It's not really a question in my mind of what's more rare. The question is, what's he better at? So, because I think when you get to the NFL level, you got to focus on one thing. Receivers should spend their time learning how to run routes, become a great route runner. Because if you can't beat man coverage, you're not going to be a very good receiver in this league. And so, if you look at, say, a guy like Davante Adams, and you look at, where he was drafted out of Fresno, how he ran, how he became the star player that he is, it's been an evolution. And he didn't have it for the first 2 years in Green Bay. He barely got on the field. But it just, the route running, understanding defenses, how to get open, when to get open, how to build rapport, like all those things take time with the quarterback, with the system, all those things. If you said, okay, well, but he also could be corner. Well, you got to specialize. You can, like Deion, he was the number one corner maybe of all time. And that was his specialty. And yes, he could go in there at receiver, punt returner. He could specialize in other areas as a playmaker. And I think that's really what Travis can be. Now, maybe he breaks the mold the way, say, Ohtani has in baseball, and just break the mold. Like, that can happen. But there's also, if you say to a guy like Debo, part of the problem with even signing Debo is, are you paying him as a receiver, you're paying him as a playmaker, or as a running back? Because if he carries the ball a lot, he's not going to have a long shelf life. He's just not. You're just going to take too many hits.
Yep.
And everybody's going to break down, and everybody's different. So we've seen him break down. We've seen, some severe injuries to Debo. And it's tough. You talk to running backs, their shelf life isn't a long time. Sometimes they can play 7-8 years with the hits that they take. Sometimes they can't. And so those are some of the considerations, if I'm Travis, because it's about getting paid, obviously, and it's about second and third contracts. And so I'll use your word, does the rare abilities that he have, is that worth maybe a career that's 7 years versus a year that's 12?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those are things, I can't answer those questions. Travis can't answer them. But those are some of the considerations.
Going back to Shedeur, obviously he's Coach Prime's son, but he's been brought up in this, right? In the NFL culture, he's learned under Tom Brady. How does that factor into his evaluation? Obviously, we have another season to go, but how do you think NFL teams are going to see him because of that?
Well, I think eventually you see it independently of all of that. You just like the support that Prime gets, and the people that are in his ear, and the people that are stopping by, to talk to him, to advise him, to coach him. That's all good. It's advanced, more than the average kid. But at the same time, it's going to come down, can you adapt because the NFL game is so different than the college game. Everything from the talent level to the windows to the defenses to the coverages. It's all going to be so much different. If you're going up against Colorado State versus the Kansas City Chiefs, it's
right.
So does the skill set going to transfer? This is what every quarterback has to go through. Cam Newton went through it. Caleb's going to go through it this year. They're just going to try to tear you down and find out things that you can't do, that you're not good at. And so you're still going to get drafted. It's a question of, are you going to be one of those high drafted quarterbacks that's going to flourish at the NFL?
It does feel like, though, a lot of times teams go and get a guy who has the bloodlines, right? And there's something to be said about just having a little bit of an understanding, and also someone in your corner who can tell you exactly what to expect, or a lot of what to expect when you get there.
No, you can be told about what's coming down the pike, and it will help you prepare for what's coming and the obstacles that might be there. All that stuff is real. But at the same time, the quarterback position, it's a conundrum. We can't get it figured out. We keep making mistakes at the top of the draft. And so you can draft all these other quarterbacks, and there's Brock Purdy. There's Kurt Warner. There's these guys in the middle rounds, or not drafted, Tony Romo, that can flourish and beat out all of them. So what's the common denominator? How do we continue to miss these guys? And it's not about athletic ability or how fast you run or anything. It's about the position is just unique.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in college football right now. I'm just curious about your overall state, or your opinion of the overall state of college football and where it's headed.
Well, I think like Deion talked about this week, I think teams can handle the NIL and some of the finances. Not everybody's getting paid. Not everybody's making millions. But I do think the portal is a problem, because we're now going to see, starting maybe in this draft, but certainly by next draft, all these kids that just jumped in the portal as soon as the next wave of players came in, or they got beat out, or they got benched, and they're just moving on to the next team or the next team. And you just wonder, is there any development, period? Mm-hmm. Can you go through 20 days in the offseason of rigorous spring practice and off-season training to develop, like a 19-year-old developing his body that way it has to develop, strength and conditioning, nutrition, all that stuff, becoming better in a system. And now you're talking about 2 or 3 or 4 systems. Yeah. I just think you're not going to get as developed. It's already been tough enough with the practice limitations. Now with the portal limitations, I just think we're going to get a lot of really unfinished products.
That's an interesting look at it. It's going to obviously be a little different in college than it was in the NFL, but what do you think Colorado fans can expect from a Pat Shurmur-led offense?
Well, I mean, he's coached at the highest level. I knew Pat when he was the quarterback coach in Philadelphia with Andy and with Donovan McNabb. He's obviously been an offensive coordinator. He's been a head coach with the Giants. Like, he comes with a great not just a resume, but a big, deep playbook. Like, I would expect a lot of pro-style concepts, under center, play-action passes, a more advanced passing game on third downs. Like, I just think you can see an NFL install in college football, and I think there's a place for that.
CU going back to the Big 12, just curious about what you think about CU's fit in the Big 12 and just, maybe making the playoff moving forward.
Well, look, I think the Big 12 needed teams. Like, they had to like all these conferences have to sort of reinvent themselves. Mm-hmm. And so, with Texas and Oklahoma leaving, there looks like there's a giant hole there for a star team. that can step in the way Texas and Oklahoma have always been. Now, Texas has bounced back now, but, it's been Oklahoma. Baylor had their run. Oklahoma State has been consistently good. So you're just looking at teams right now that, it's a 10-team league. I don't know if it's going to, increase right now. I don't know what their future holds right now. But, you're going to get a chance to play and compete against almost everybody that recruits the state of Texas. Like, that's the whole thing is there's 400 Division I recruits every year in the state of Texas. Like, how many can you get? Can you get them from A&M, from Texas, from North Texas, from SMU, from TCU? I mean, all these schools that are there. Can you out-recruit these Texas? Everybody recruits Texas. So, can Deion go in there and get these 4- and 5-star kids out of Texas?
Pretty big name in Texas.
Oh, no, there's no doubt. I mean, look, Prime carries. Look, I'm fortunate enough to have worked with Prime and got to know him over the years and a big fan of everything that he's doing. And so I don't know if Warren Sapp is on board, coming on board. I'm not sure exactly. I think he's coming on board to coach with them. I mean, he's just, it's going to be a cool place for a high school kid to go to.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And, with the Pac-12 kind of falling apart, this is a good landing spot for Colorado. And they were once a part of the Big Eight, and they're coming back home almost.
Yep. All right, well, we got to let you go, and Baldy's going to go over to the All-NFL show with our guy Anthony Gargano, just across from us.
Yep.
So make sure you guys tune into that, and obviously, you can find him on NFL Network and damn near anywhere else they talk about football. That's my guy.
Yeah, he does all my dirty work for me. Tells me when to get off. All right, guys.
All right. Thanks,
pleasure.
Baldy.
Appreciate you, Baldy.
you.
Okay.
Thank you, man. Alrighty, chat. Shout out to Circle K.
Love Circle K.
One-stop shop on the road. All the gas, snacks, drinks, all the goodies that you can get are at Circle K. Join their inner circle. It's their free membership program. Just enter your email and phone number and you're fully enrolled. Your first 5 fill-ups of gas, 25 cents off. First 5 Polar Pops are free, and every 6 free on many, many items. Sign up with the QR code on the screen or visit CircleK.com, inner-circle for more info.
We honestly need to go to Circle K and just stock up on snacks and everything just for our little area here.
For here at Radio Row?
Yes.
Oh, definitely.
Yes.
We need them.
So to give you guys a little inside of what it's like to be here. Mm-hmm. First of all, it's awesome. There's all sorts of cool stuff around here. We're at Mandalay Bay. But if you want to walk out of this room and leave, it is a nightmare.
It takes a maze to get back here first off.
Literally, there is a Starbucks that I could probably hit a golf ball to from here.
Yeah?
But if you want to go to it, you basically have to walk a quarter mile away from here to get back in because you have to re-enter security.
And then you'll hit another Starbucks, too, when you're going on your way.
It's like walking all over the world around here. So we might just need to have our own stock so we never have to leave this table.
Yeah, where's the snack cart? That's what we need.
We do, exactly. Shout out also to Circa Sportsbook where we were hanging out last night.
I love that place.
Dude, we walked in and I was just like,
I know.
Kind of feels like home.
Yep.
Kind of feels like home.
It's the best.
It is the best. We popped by Victory Burger for dinner, which is amazing. It's like it sits right over the sportsbook. Mm-hmm. So you have these amazing burgers, incredible milkshakes. I had the wings, and you're sitting in the sportsbook, and you can get your drinks there. And it's just one thing that makes it amazing.
Yeah.
Or you go over to the Overhang Bar where we're going to be hanging out on Wednesday. And you guys, if you're in town, can come hang out with us there. We'll put the link out. And if you RSVP, you can get 2 free drinks just for coming to Circa.
Come chill with us.
Imagine getting free drinks just to come to Circa. Mm-hmm. It's incredible. So Circa's the best odds, too. Everywhere you go, wherever you're looking to place a bet, every time I go to Circa, I'm like, man, there's good odds on that.
I just wish we had more sports on right now, man. It's tough.
It was tough. By the time we got there last night, it was 2 minutes left in the Nuggets game. We were like, damn. And that was pretty much it.
We have the Avs tonight, though.
Let's go.
I think they're dogs, too. Hank and I were talking about it last night.
Ooh.
Yeah, we were already cooking.
Let's cook.
All right. I actually got a tweet here that's pretty interesting.
Let's see it.
We talked a lot about the players last year who left this team and how, you did the whole exercise with the golf balls and all that.
Yep.
just talking about the talent that was on this team before. Well, here's stats from the guys who have entered the portal after this season. 12 players have entered, 0 withdrew. No one's coming back.
Yep.
Only 1 has gone to a Power 5 school. Do you even, off the top of your head, who was it?
I can't even remember who's entered. Is it? Who is it?
I don't know. I have to pull it up. Okay. 3 went to a G5. 1 went to an FCS. 7 are still in the portal. More than half are still in the portal.
So the 3 G5s, I think, are all at San Diego State.
So yeah, Mikey. Well.
Oh, the Power 5. No, are we counting Oregon State?
I don't know. I guess not.
If we are, then there's 2. Hank.
3.
Okay, so then we really have to call that Power 4 transfers.
Yes.
Because as we know, the Pac-12 is cooked. So 1 Power 4 transfer?
I guess so.
All right.
P5 doesn't mean anything anymore. It's going to take a little getting used to, I guess.
P4.
Doesn't hit the same.
P90X.
You can't just throw P insert number, bro.
Pee Wee Herman.
I think it's got to be Oregon State. Anyways.
That doesn't make sense. If it's Oregon State, then it's 3.
I don't know.
But they're not Power 5. Who's that?
Reed left to Purdue.
That's
there you go. Playing for Ryan Walters. Another great former Buff.
When's our next guest coming?
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock. We got 15 minutes to kill.
I just got offered free tickets to the Super Bowl, but it's spelled like soup.
Yeah, that's disappointing. Are you going to bite? Are you going to go to the Super Bowl?
It's not even telling me what it is. I assumed it has something to do with soup.
Just a soup bar?
Yeah.
Well, all right, what do we hit?
You tell me. What's the chat? I mean, we could probably hit questions now from the chat.
Do we have any super chats?
No super chats, but if people tell us any questions.
All right, cool.
Sure, what do you got?
Let's answer some questions.
No,
Hopefully they're... Oh,
drop your questions. Drop your questions right now, and we will get to them. We've got a little bit of time here before our next guest comes on.
Next guest will be Solomon Wilcots.
Yeah.
Another former
Buff.
Colorado football player who has made a great career for himself in broadcasting.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of crazy how many of those there are.
From Colorado?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, Joel Klatt, obviously. Solomon. Chris Fowler, not a football player, but went to Colorado.
Definitely.
Like, the list kind of just goes on and on and on. I mean, Alfred Williams. Ryan Koenigsberg. Alfred Williams, has become a Denver radio legend. Chad Brown's in Denver. I mean, there's just, the list goes on and on and on.
A little bit of a pipeline going there.
Yeah. And I'm not going to say that. I was going to talk about the quality of my education for a second, but I won't do it.
Yeah, you were just going to end up dissing yourself.
I was.
There's 3 days left to renew your season tickets, by the way.
All right. That's good. I mean, I tried to tell people last year, don't forget to renew your season tickets. Mm-hmm. And multiple people that I know did, and it cost them dearly.
Travis got engaged.
Hey, that is a great one. I'm glad we didn't forget that. Congratulations to Travis.
Congrats, Travis.
Dude, I don't know. Let's see if I can explain this the way I feel it in my mind. Travis always keeps the main thing. In all facets of his life.
Yeah.
And, like, he's not going out partying, crazy, all that stuff. Like, he's got his girl, been together forever, loves her. Like, talks about her all the time. Boom, locked in. He cares about football. That's what he locks in on. He cares about fishing. That's what he locks in. Like, he doesn't – there's no fray. There's no frills for Travis Hunter. He's just about what he's about and nothing else. Yep. And I respect it so much.
He's just so real, honestly. Like, you can see it in his videos. I think we can see it just when he's walking by us in the facility. Like, he's not like – how people project him or like to see him as or want to see him as is like this flashy, like arrogant, all the negative words you can throw out there. He's just a dude. Like, he just likes hanging out, playing video games, playing football, hanging with his girlfriend.
Yeah. And honestly, like, he'll be so happy for that. Mm-hmm. And he already is, but like, there's just something about understanding what's important and not needing anything else that will bring you happiness. And it's crazy to see a person as young as he is, understand that at that level.
Diallo says he's hooping with Travis and Jimmy later today.
Wow. So I guess you add one more thing.
Good for you, Diallo.
That ring, too. Whew. He went in on
I
that.
know. That's that NIL money right there, bro. Here's an interesting question. And this got Dan Quinn is the new head coach of the Washington Commanders.
Yep.
And he confirmed today that Eric Bieniemy will not be returning to their coaching staff.
Eric Bieniemy, pull up to Radio Row.
Could he find his way to the Buffs coaching staff?
Potentially. I would not put it past him. Coach Prime has obviously been very serious about wanting to increase the NFL influence on this coaching staff. And Eric Bieniemy is an incredible example of someone who's done it at both levels.
Yep.
Was great as a player, played in the NFL, and now has worked with the best of the best. And I'll put one more connection in there, as Baldy just pointed out. Pat Shurmur, quarterbacks coach under Andy Reid. That's his. That's his makeup. Eric Bieniemy started out didn't start out actually. He was with a couple different teams, but really started to blow up as a running backs coach for under Andy Reid. Obviously, eventually became his offensive coordinator, and the rest is history for him. But you are getting a real connection there from an offensive standpoint. Got our next guest coming.
You ready?
I think in a few seconds.
Okay.
What do you think?
I don't know. I feel like he's just at a different tier. He's obviously NFL OC material, I think. I don't think that what happened in Washington was because of Eric Bieniemy's play calling or whatever, It's just there's a lot going on there, a lot that has to be taken into account. But we'll see. I mean, he's obviously got the ties. On the DC, though, I guess we can say that potentially soon. I know we've been saying that a lot, but it sounds like they're going through final interviews. So.
Yes. I do think we are very close this time. We've talked about it so much, but I've never been more confident that we are close to a conclusion.
Yes.
I'm not going to say how close because I'll probably just end up looking dumb again.
Yeah, better not put a timeline on it.
Yeah, exactly.
We do have a super chat from B. Wilk. He said, so should we assume then that the eventual DC must be coaching in the Super Bowl? We don't have that much info. It's been very tight-lipped on who. But
I wouldn't go that far.
I don't think so either.
I wouldn't go that far, no. I think that Coach Prime is just really torn. He has good candidates that he really likes.
Yep.
And he's having a hard time making his mind up. And I also think that the fact that that should make people confident about the options. And also understand that Coach Prime just isn't going to rush this.
All right, our next guest joining the show now. Is he ready?
Yep,
Almost.
We're ready to go. What's going on, man?
Solomon Wilcots, former Colorado wide receiver, joining the show. Welcome, man.
Former Colorado safety.
Excuse me.
Or safety, sorry.
Hey, yes, right. Hey, great to be on with you guys. Thanks for having me.
Yes. I want to start here. Your first year at Colorado, you guys, I believe, were 1-10. Is that correct?
Yeah. Early years, yeah. No one goes off to college to lose a lot of games. So when that happens, you go in and you talk to the coach, and what's on the forefront of your mind is I'm not staying here. But you give it a shot because you talk to the coach. You say, look, Coach, I know some guys where I'm from. They're not afraid of Oklahoma. They're not afraid of Nebraska. And at that time, we were in the Big Eight. And I said, we need to start recruiting some other guy. And he you know what? He challenged me. Allow us to do that. That's how we're able to get the Darian Hagens, the Deion Figures, the Eric Bieniemys, and the list goes on and on. The Mike Pritchards. I mean, I'm telling you, man, it was great. Because I was just a guy being the host on all these recruiting trips, and I got all these guys like, man, we need you, man. You got to come here. You got to help us win, right? There wasn't this transfer portal, so you had to get it done by just convincing guys this was the right team to be on. And by the time I was out of there, we went back-to-back bowl games. A few years later, they win a national championship with those same players. And so it was a great time, and CU here is history. But right now, it's a whole total game. It's just really a wonderful opportunity for Deion Sanders to come in and just bring this whole new vibe and whole new feeling to the program.
You talked about the talent, and talent, in the end is going to be the most important thing. But there has to be also a culture shift to go from, a losing team to a winning team. What from your playing days do you remember of, man, I really noticed this shifted while we were making that move back to being great?
It's one thing to acquire the talent, and that's really what it's about. It's about that, but it's also going through this crucible of hard work. Back then, when we went through spring training, and they still have spring football today, you cannot be afraid to put the pads on and go to work. Mm-hmm. And that's what we did. And it was like a battle royale, man. We hit every single day. And you got to practice so hard and so physically that games become easy. Yeah. And if you're not willing to do that, forget about it. You might as well close down shop. Go play some other sport. But that's what we did. I know Coach Prime is wired the same way now. There's spring practices. That's why Bo Schembechler hung it over the locker room at the University of Michigan. Of course, it's still there. Those who stay will be champions. What he's really saying, the coded language is, because we're trying to run some of them off. Yeah. If you don't have championship stuff in you, you're not gonna want to be a part of this. Mm-hmm. It's gonna be so hard that it's difficult to stay. That's the inference there.
And it brings me back to something that Dan Campbell said, and it was in Hard Knocks. But it was like the first practice of him out there of training camp. Yeah. And he just says, like, guys, I wish I could tell you that I think we can get where we can go without hitting here. And I want to protect you guys, and I want you guys to have long careers, but I don't believe that we can get where we need to go by not playing football.
He's right. And you could see – I went back and I looked. The first year and a half, I think of their first maybe 25 or 29 games, they won 4. They were like 4-25, somewhere in there. And then they caught fire. Remember the second half of their second season where they won all those games? They ended up beating Aaron Rodgers at Lambeau Field in the season finale of that second year. They didn't make the playoffs, but they had gone through this crucible where you could tell that team they were different. They were different. And you could tell coming into 2023, they were going to be something special. But they didn't get in overnight. They didn't come to that mentality and that kind of conclusion and thinking overnight. They had to go through some of the tough grinds. It had to hurt before it got better. Mm-hmm. But he worked them. They practiced. And then they held together through a very difficult period. And I think they kind of showed their mettle, showed what they were made of. And at the start of this season, you see they went out to Kansas City and beat the defending Super Bowl champion in the opening night game. And it told you we were dealing with a different Detroit Lion team. Yep.
Solomon, you played safety. Shilo, he kind of reminds me of an old school safety, just how he hits and stuff. What's your impression of him when you watch him play?
Yeah, he brings it, man. He loves the physicality of the game. He's not out there just trying to get a bunch of picks and not willing to get his jersey dirty. No, he's willing to do it however they want it. Mm-hmm. And he's going to hit you. He's going to get you to the ground. He's an excellent tackler in space, which is what you want. He reads the ball very well. He can high point the ball with great ball skills. Former baseball player, so you know he's got ball skills like his dad. And but he loves the game, and that's what I love about Deion and how he coaches. He really's trying to find out. It's not about all the glitz and what glitters and what's shiny. It's about, do you love this game?
Yeah.
And are you passionate about this? And are you a good teammate? And are you willing to do the work that it takes to be good? And once you can really dig down deep and find that in players, you know you got something special.
Mm-hmm. How happy are you to look at Colorado's schedule and see teams like Oklahoma State and Kansas State and schools like that back on there?
No, I like that because that takes us back to our origin, right? And a university that started in the Big 8 and then went over to the Pac-12. I grew up in Pac-12 country. I grew up in Los Angeles, California, so I was used to watching the USCs, the UCLAs, and we always knew that the Pac-12 played good football. And the way that Colorado had always recruited, they had always recruited in those areas. People don't remember. Troy Polamalu went to USC, but he was a heavy recruit at Colorado, ended up going over to USC, but he was a guy out of Oregon. So we had always recruited in those areas. So when we went to the Pac-12, we thought that it would still hold well for us to be good recruiters on that side. It's nice, I think, to be back in what is now the Big 12, simply because financially that – the Pac-12, it fell apart. Their TV deal didn't support the way that it was supposed to. There are a lot of intricate things that kind of led to the decision to leave the Pac-12, and it led to USC and UCLA and all those teams leaving. But it's good. As we look forward, we have a tradition of playing against Oklahoma and playing against, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, and some of these other schools. And then some of the new schools that have come into the conference. So very much looking forward to getting back to just winning. Who's ever on schedule, we need to just get back to winning.
Travis Hunter's a phenomenal football player. I'm just curious, your overall impression of him, and then do you think he's a better wide receiver or defensive back?
Wow, he's kind of both, right? Yeah. I think about how good he's been at each position as a part-time player, right? Putting 50% of his time into being a wide receiver, but look how well he plays the position. As good as anyone in the country, right? Putting 50% of his time at being a defensive back and having a great feel for the game. Excellent ball skills as well, right?
Super instinctual.
That's right. And a playmaker, but only putting half the amount of time into playing the position. And this is what, many kids go through when they want to play multiple sports or play multiple positions. Coaches are like, think about how good you could be if you just did the one.
Right.
And but I think, over the course of him growing up and playing both, I think it's made him better at each, right? He understands how wide receivers think when he's playing defensive back. He knows where they're splits, where they're aligned on the field, his inside foot up. That means he's running this route. Back foot up, or at least outside foot up, we know he's running that route. And so he's able to understand a lot of, I think, nuanced things that helps him to be better at each position, having played the other.
And you just talked about, finding guys who love the game and have joy for the game.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a guy who plays with more joy in the country than him.
He really
that's
does.
why you can't get him off the field, because he just loves football so much.
And when he came back from his injury, he played all those snaps. I'm thinking, get him off the field. It's too much. It's too much. Everyone was like, no way he can keep playing all these snaps. That's what you love about him. His love for the game, his willingness to put it on the line for his teammates and give everything that he's got. I just think it's incredible. I think he's a great competitor. I think he's got great skills. I think he's got tremendously high football IQ. And more importantly, he has a love for the game.
Do you think it's possible to play two ways in the NFL like Coach Prime used to?
It's been tried. And remember, Coach Prime, he got a couple of snaps over here. And now, obviously, as a special team guy, as a return guy, he was phenomenal. And as a corner, he was phenomenal. He didn't play full-time at the other position. You just can't. This is a guy that played multiple sports and did it at a high level, by the way. I just still remember watching him. I covered him when he played for the Cincinnati Reds because I was working in local television at the time. I had retired from the NFL, was working in local TV. This guy would hit a ball that looked like a single. He's going to be standing on first base. We'd look up. By the time they're throwing it, he's turning the corner. He's coming into third. We were like, what the? I mean, he can run those pads, man, like nobody you've ever seen. And was just a great ball player. But getting back to playing multiple positions in football in the NFL, I just think it's too hard. It's just what the requirements to play one position and be good at it. It takes everything, man.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying never. I would never say never. No one will ever be able to do it. It's going to, Bo Jackson would have. It's going to take a special talent. Yeah. And I'm not going to say it would never happen again, but, man, look, you'll know when you see it. Yeah. I can tell you that.
Yeah, for sure.
And, I mean, when you talk about that, it always comes back to wear and tear, right?
Yeah.
And speaking of wear and tear, tell us about Macy.
Well, Macy is an innovative treatment to repair cartilage damage in the knee. In using your own cells. So it's an autologous science where they go in and they do it, whether it's by, they go in and they pull a piece of cartilage out, healthy tissue. They grow it on a collagen membrane, and then they go back in to reinsert it. It adheres to the healthy tissue and to the bone, and so they were able to smooth out what was really causing you a lot of pain, a lot of sticking. It wasn't that smooth groove in the knee joint, and now you're back to not only having your vitality back, whether you're a weekend warrior or an NFL player. If you're having knee cartilage problems, this is the treatment that you want. Just go to Macy.com, MACI.com, find a doctor in your area, or just to get more information on the procedure.
Really interesting stuff. Last one I got for you before we let you go, and it's something we were just talking about before you showed up. Why are there so many successful teammates of yours in media? I mean, you've had a great career. Big Al's had a great career. Chad Brown. I mean, the list kind of goes on and on of guys who have been great. Cordell Stewart, the whole squad kind of.
And in the NFL, I also played with Boomer Esiason, Chris Collinsworth, and played with a lot of guys at the pro level and in the collegiate level. One of the things is, I think, in our league, particularly at the University of Colorado, we believe in going back and helping one another, whether it's through Buffs for Life or whether it's just, hey, call me if you need anything. And so for many of those guys, they saw me working in broadcast television. And, of course, I continue to help any of them with any kind of advice. We help one another. If it's time to even renew a contract, we're on the phone, we're talking to each other about what's the best way to handle that. And what's the best way to have long-term success and sustainable careers in any market or in any industry. We like to believe that we've built up a network of individuals who all care about one another and are all willing to do anything that we can to help one another.
It's a beautiful thing, especially Buffs helping Buffs, but also tells you a little bit about the true brotherhood of football.
Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. Look, when those guys signed up to come to the University of Colorado, I took it personal because I felt like these are guys who are going to help our program go to the next level. And I think football teaches us the real key and most important things in life. You cannot accomplish anything on your own. You're going to need help from somebody, whether it's through a mentor, whether it's through partnership with someone. Anyone who stands up and says, I did it by myself, don't believe them. Just don't believe them. Because I can tell you right now, it's not happening. There are a lot of people who poured into that individual, whether it's from a knowledge-based perspective to help teach them and show them a way, right? So all of us need one another to accomplish our life's goals, dreams, and aspirations. Football teaches us that, and it plays out in life every single day.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for your time.
All right. Appreciate you guys having me. All the best.
Yes,
to
sir.
you.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Take care. Thank you. All righty, chat. 3 guests for y'all today. That was Solomon Wilcots, former Colorado safety. We had Brian Baldinger on. And then
Mike Pritchard.
Mike Pritchard was on.
Great start, man. Great start. I'm sure we have some questions to get to, but some really great perspective on this stuff. And for Solomon, he comes into a Bill McCartney-led program, goes 1-10.
Yep.
And he mentioned it. He's like, you want to leave. But there's something to be said about being a part of building something.
Right.
And I think he left before the national championship, but he had a hand in it, and you can look back and say, oh, man, I was part of the build.
Yeah.
And I think that there's going to be a lot of that over the next few years at Colorado.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, it might just be last year to this year where you get to say I was part of the big change.
Well, I mean, we'll obviously see what happens, and we hope they win a ton of games and win the conference this year, but guys like Shane Cokes, who came in as like a grad transfer, gave Colorado a shot last year, and what we thought would be his last year ends up coming back. Like, he's going to be a foundational piece of what's happening here at Colorado moving forward past his graduation once he's done with college.
Amen.
Chat, calm down. Stop fighting.
Why are they fighting?
I got him.
Okay.
Slowly, we're getting back. We're
Why are we
reining it
fighting?
back.
It's Super Bowl week, great show. What could there possibly be to fight over?
That's what I said.
What do we got, Alyssa?
Just a few questions here. Smuggles KB says, how will you guys survive being in Vegas for more than just a couple of days?
Bro, don't ask me. I don't know. I was honestly so good last night. I just don't know if it's sustainable. It's like I left the tables at like 11:30,
Yeah, man, I'm worried for you.
Yeah.
You're going to show up on like Thursday, 2 hours sleep.
Yep.
And be a zombie on the set.
That's what's the scary thing is like last night was like we were going to have to get here the earliest. So we took it the easiest.
Yep.
And it was like I still only got 4.5 hours of sleep. Like we're operating at a deficit right now.
Right.
But I've been training for this my whole life. I think I can handle it.
You're a seasoned vet.
Yeah.
Oh, I meant to start the show this way. Of course, Denver and Boulder, like your favorite places. Is this your favorite place besides that?
It's such an interesting question because I feel like it's a bad look for me if I answer yes. But I do love this place.
Read between the lines, chat.
The one thing I'll say that Las Vegas lacks, and if anyone is from here, I don't mean this in a negative way, is it doesn't have its own real culture, at least that you see when you experience Vegas the way that we do. It's a melting pot of everything, and like even the hotels is like New York, and Paris, whatever. And it's like you're getting a lot of anything, but there is like amazing food here and all that stuff.
Yep.
I think my favorite cities in the United States all boil down to like the way the people are there, and I don't really think you get to interact with the people in the Vegas that we see.
Right,
so I can't put it as my favorite. Like, that's my answer.
This is one of my favorite places.
It is, though. You can't not have fun here. There's something for everyone.
I came out here a ton as a kid. I got an uncle who lives out here, so seeing this place as a kid was like eye-opening. Like, holy cow!
Yep.
Like, how does this exist? But
I weirdly used to stay at this hotel when I was a kid.
This one?
Yep.
Damn.
Yep.
I've never stayed here.
Walking through here was like a weird nostalgia.
Yeah.
Of just like, oh man. First of all, it's changed a lot since when I was coming here, but it's cool. Like when we walk outside, there's like the wave pool you can see in like the lazy river. I would spend like 8 hours a day in there.
Walking through the casino to get to here reminded me a lot of like Pac-12 Media Day. What a day that was.
Oh man, that was awesome. We should go back to that place while we're here. The
Resorts World? Yeah.
But that place where we were playing like basketball, beer pong.
Hell yeah, that place was dope. Let's go back.
Yeah, we should.
What else we got?
From 5280 Ivan, he says, which other Buff legends are you hoping to have or meet on the show?
Stay tuned.
Yeah, I mean, the list is endless. Like I said at the beginning of the show, we came here with the Buff Show because we knew that there's going to be so many people that want to talk about it.
Yep.
And so getting like Buffs legends is amazing. We had 2 today. Someone like Cordell Stewart might be around here. I've seen him on Radio Row before. But also there's just so many other people that we haven't talked to. I've had the pleasure to talk to those guys before, but like, for example, like a Brandon Marshall,
sure,
who has the I Am Athlete podcast. He's coming out here, and it's like, I know he has opinions on this and takes on this, and he's had Shedeur on his show, and so like, to talk to him about it, it's like, Deshaun Jackson was at a game in Boulder. Like everyone, there's some sort of tie here. So I think we're going to end up having some really cool guests, but you're just going to have to stay tuned because we didn't know who was going to be coming into today, and we ended up with a great show.
Fantastic show. Just the start, man. Just Monday. Many more days to come this whole week. We don't really know who's going to be here, but we're excited for this week of content for you all. How much more?
Just a few more. Matt says he's watching from Vegas. Are you guys doing a meetup?
Yes. Wednesday night, circa, at the Overhang Bar, 6 to 8 p.m. If you DM us or hit us up in one way or another, I'll make sure to send you the link. If you RSVP through the link, you're going to get 2 free drinks from the Overhang Bar. So we're going to be hanging out for there 6 to 8 on Wednesday. Should be really fun.
Can't wait.
Can't wait to meet you.
Come through. Come hang out. What else?
DMJ Music Group says, what are you looking forward to this week broadcasting from Radio Row? Not from a work perspective, but personally.
Personally? I'd love to hit Whataburger.
Oh, my God.
Personally.
That's a personal goal of yours this week?
Kinda.
Interesting.
I mean, my uncle lives out here. It'd be cool to see him.
Reach for the stars, Jakey Boo. Reach for the stars.
I don't know. What would you say?
Well, a couple things. One, I'm just looking forward to being able to create great content for everyone. I think that first of all, we're going to have the most views of anyone that's here for All City, so I want to do that. but also there's a different challenge to doing shows from here.
Yep.
And you kind of got your first taste of it today. It's a little interesting. Like you have a guest kind of hovering over here, and you're like, are they ready? Are they good? Like,
yep.
And then they sit down, and like you want to talk to them, but it takes them a second to get their headset on. Like, so I'm just looking forward to getting kind of better and getting smoother at the transitions between guests, because it is a little bit of a challenge. But I like that. It's so easy for us to do shows from at the studio, and even when we have a guest on, it's one guest. You're just having a conversation with them. Here's a little different. I like that kind of professional challenge.
I mean, well, yeah, if we're going to talk like actual work stuff, definitely. Just like,
if you want to hear my other goal, it's just to get rich.
Well, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see who we get on this show. I think we've had a lot of great guests on this show just in the last year, and I think that we can get some of the best that we've had so far this week.
Yep, and Neely said it. The dream is still alive. Coach Prime will be here.
He will be here.
So, Coach Prime, our guy, we got a spot for you.
Hopefully.
I was going to say, the chat's asking, do you think we'll get to chat with Prime?
I think we will get to chat with him in passing at least. So at least say, what's up, Coach? And I think he'll say hi to us. But I think getting him on the show, I don't know. I have fingers crossed.
Yeah, I have no idea. And I don't think he's going to be the only person that's directly connected to Colorado football that'll be here.
Definitely.
So I know for a fact we have a guest on Thursday that I'm excited to talk to who's in the program right now, but I don't want to spoil anything too soon. But yeah, there's a chance.
There's always a chance.
The dream is alive.
Heaven's Daddy said to try Nacho Daddy. Do you guys know what Nacho Daddy is?
I went to Nacho Daddy. It's right over by our hotel.
What is it?
It's a nacho restaurant.
Oh, okay.
They
Appreciate you.
Fire nachos.
Anything else, Alyssa?
A couple super chats left. Dina Reyes says, super chat says, just wanted to say great show.
Appreciate you. Thank you
very much.
And then last one from Jermaine King. He says, donation for the Give Alyssa a Raise Fund.
Wow. I heard, did he say donation to RK's Blackjack Fund? Is that what he said?
I think it was a donation to Jake's White Claw Fund.
White Claw or White Castle?
Yes.
Yeah, don't get it confused with Whataburger.
All right, that's going directly to Alyssa, and I'm going to get her to put it down at the craps table tonight.
There you go.
That's my bet. That's what I'm doing.
Did you bet on the horses last night?
No, I want to go back and bet on the horses, though.
I want to bet on the horses tonight, so we'll do
Let's run it.
I came to Vegas with no cash, so that was a mistake on my part. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm going to hit up that ATM with a nice $20 fee.
Yikes.
For those of you who have been here, there's a mechanical horse racing game that's like a cult classic in the eyes of people who love Vegas. So we're gonna play that tonight.
Crazy Neely can't get Prime to see y'all. Neely won't be here though. Neely's actually headed back to Jackson later this week.
Yeah, and like I would never expect Neely to do that.
Of course.
Like that. It's just not how it works.
You can't expect him to. I mean, we know who Coach Prime is. Like Neely, does his best to do what he already does with Prime. Like
of course.
Alfredi said we need to ask for Super Bowl predictions to our guests later in the week.
I just have to look up and see Patrick Mahomes' face like right in front of us.
Guys, there's so many Chiefs people here.
The last thing I want to do is talk about the Super Bowl.
It makes me sick.
Yeah. Plus, it's more evergreen if we don't talk about the Super Bowl.
That is true. Anything else?
These shows, it worked with our Broncos shows last year, but like these shows are good for the whole offseason. People can go back and watch these anytime. Just like our Pac-12 Media Days. Like, that ended up being one of our biggest shows ever because you can listen to that at any point. It doesn't have a shelf life, especially as we're talking about, mostly broader Colorado football topics.
It's going to age well, too, I think.
Yeah. We should get their record predictions for the Buffs.
Yes.
It's really putting people on the spot, but
trying to think.
I'm interested.
We had at least 2 future NFL QBs on that Pac-12 Media Day show, Penix and Shedeur.
Yep.
Travis, of course.
Yep.
Coach Kelly. I mean, Coach Kelly's a legend.
I hope he leaves UCLA. That'd be awesome.
I meant our Coach Kelly, Charles Kelly.
Oh, you were so excited about Chip Kelly when we had him. I thought that you were. Yep.
That's a whole different situation. I've never seen a fan base want the coach out so bad, and the coach obviously wants to leave so bad, but he's contractually tied, and they're all just stuck with each other.
Everyone. It's a weird thing.
Toxic.
Just so you guys know, we are going from here to Super Bowl opening night, where every player for the Chiefs and every player for the Niners will be available, all the coaches, and then basically every media person you can think of will be there. So we're going to get some really cool content tonight. As soon as we wrap here, we're going to start sharpening up our ideas for what we're going to create tonight. It'll be a different style of content from what you guys are used to.
We have one Buff in the Super Bowl, Isaiah Oliver. So
we'll be seeing him.
Yeah, definitely. He was a dog at Colorado, too. I remember watching his draft tape, and I was like, this guy's sick.
Yeah, he is. And he was part of, the Money Gang, which was the secondary in 2016 during the rise. But he was a freshman at that point. And so then he kind of took the reins after that. But he was locked down at most times.
Yep. All right, that's it.
That is it.
All righty, guys, stay tuned. We'll be here live at 2 all week.
Wait, no, 1. Oh,
2 p.m.
2 o'clock Mountain. Yes.
4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific.
Look at you. That's
3 p.m. Central.
Good job, because I messed it up today, so
what
that was my
about
bad.
Hawaii?
In Hawaii, that is 8 a.m.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm taking your word
Is
for
it
it.
6, right?
I don't know.
6 hours?
All right.
I don't know. Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow, guys. Let's go Buffs.
Let's go Buffs.
We all silly like the mayor.